Hello, everybody. Welcome to Advocacy in Action. We will get started here in just a minute. I am going to put a survey in the chat for you all to complete while we wait for people to show up. If I can multitask, this is always the thing. There we go.
I've got a pretty wild storm happening in the background, so I'm going to mute.
Oh, yeah, hope we don't lose you. Hello, everybody. We might have a small group because it's June and nobody wants to think about back to school. But that's why we are recording it so people can look at this at their leisure and go back to it. And that's what we're doing here. So welcome, everybody. I did put a survey in the chat. If you could take a few minutes just to complete that, that would be great. We are just trying to make this event better, and we would love to collect your thoughts and feedback, and we will just get started here in a minute. And I'm just going to share it again because sometimes I feel like if you're not in the room yet, you don't see what's been shared in the chat. So just sharing that again. Okay. Okay. Welcome to Advocacy in Action. I'm Sadie Everett. I know a lot of people on here. It's good to see everybody. I'm Sadie Everett, and I am the director of the Regional Autism Advisory Council that lives at the University of Cincinnati IDD Education Center. And we started this event, Amanda Tipkemper and I. Amanda can introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Amanda Tipkemper. I'm an independent consultant and also I work part-time as a director of education for a place called Kids Thrive, which is a behavioral health organization. And had a lot of experience as an educator in the past 20 plus years, knowing there's a lot of families out there that need a lot more support than is available. Supports have increased over time, but this is an event that we hope is accessible to everyone. We make it, virtual, and we also have the recording so that anyone who needs access to this can. And so we encourage everybody here also to share that information and forward it along to others.
Yeah. Awesome. And if you for the Regional Autism Advisory Council, or RAC, is a program that's been actually around for about 25 years. We recently acquired it at UC last year, and it is a network of stakeholders that come together at events just like this. I host several different events during the month, whether it be just community update meetings, training opportunities, or advocacy events like this. And if you're not connected with me, please drop your email in the chat or complete that survey that I did put in the chat, and I will get you added to my distribution list. But we come together to talk about issues and talk about challenges and work together to just push the needle on things, and also just to promote positive change in our community for people with autism, but also those with related support needs. So welcome to Advocacy in Action. And tonight we have an awesome presenter, Jennifer Godby, and I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer and she can get started.
Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna get my little slideshow. I'm a visual person, so I just made a slideshow. It kind of helps me think through what's being talked about and all that kind of stuff. So I am going to share that. Okay. I hope everyone can see my screen. Yes? Okay, good. And I'm gonna put these on, which will be a big glare, but then I can see. Okay, so before I get started, I always just like to introduce a little bit about myself. I'm Jennifer Godby. I'm the founder of Be Their Voice Advocacy, which is I have a focus on special education advocacy for students in public schools. I do have my bachelor's in individual and family development from the University of Kentucky. Go Cats. I will not tell you the year, or that will age me too much. And I am also COPA trained in special education advocacy. So if anyone's heard of COPA, it stands for the Council of Parents, Attorneys, and Advocates. And they are a national organization. They like to share resources, obviously, with the people mentioned, parents, attorneys, and advocates. And they also work to affect change at a federal policy level. And they also offer advocacy training, multiple levels. And so I have completed all of those. And I'm also a mom of two. You can see that the picture, that's my guy and my why is what I like to say. So my why for most things that I do and really how I ended up in advocacy. So that's just a bit about me. So what I was asked to speak about today is planning ahead for the school year. I think Amanda said on Facebook that is a dirty word during summer break. And I know it's true, we all cringe a little bit, but I actually advise my clients a lot of times to start as early as for transition planning, as early as right after winter break sometimes, because there's a lot that can happen even in that second semester of school, thinking ahead towards the next school year. So it's never too early to start thinking transitions. If you didn't plan ahead that early, that's okay. There's still a lot that can be done and thought about during the summer, which is what we're going to talk about today. But transitions are hard, whether your student is returning to the same building or heading to a new one. Planning ahead is key, and I'm nothing if not a planner. So maybe that's why they asked me for this topic. But okay, effective planning for smooth transition back to school, in my opinion, includes these things. A focus on early preparation, creating predictable routines, utilizing visual supports, and developing a collaborative relationship with your school team. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. And then we should have time for discussion and questions and all that stuff too. So first, early preparation and routine establishment. Start early, which is kind of what I said already. Begin preparing for the school year well in advance. I even said winter, spring can be a great time to start creating transition plans with your school team. So transition plans can be formally written. That's usually what I advise. Write it as a team with the other IEP members, and you can even tie it into the IEP. So some teams like to directly type it in, some it might be a separate document. And you can call a team meeting to create this. So if you didn't talk about it during your annual IEP review, you can call the team together and say, hey, I'd really like to talk about what it's going to look like to help my child be successful transitioning from one grade to another, especially one building to another building. It's really important to talk about ahead of time. And a form can look like, I like to include details like what's going to be done, by when will this be completed, and by whom. So it might say something like, my child will be visiting the new junior high building. It'll be done before the end of the school year, so by May 15th. And who's going to be responsible? Maybe the intervention specialist is going to be the one helping them go make a visit. As far as what goes into the transition plans, that's really as unique as your child and their needs are. So That's where you're the expert on your child, and you can discuss with your team the types of things that are appropriate. It could even include collaborations from one teacher to another. So it might not involve your student at all, but you want to make sure, for example, the intervention specialist at this building is talking about strategies that work for your child with the intervention specialist at the new building. And they may not have names yet of who that's going to be, but they can put in a transition plan that it will happen and that it will happen by a certain date. And so those are things that you can ask for. It could be your student participating and helping select their courses. It could be, like I mentioned, visits, or maybe a social story will be created. Kind of sky's the limit. Think through what makes your child successful in a transition to anything new and apply that to school.
Jenny, real quick, do you want me to hop in and tell you what the questions are in the chat, or do you want to go through your PowerPoint?
We can do it either way, whichever way you prefer. Like if you feel like it's better to go back or do it in the moment, I'm fine with either. But yeah, if you're
Well, we
keeping
have someone asking about a transition plan and what a transition plan is because they're new to the IEP. And I think if you're maybe differentiate between what you're talking about and the actual transition section as well, just so people know the difference between that.
Yeah, that's fair. So in an IEP, there is a section once a child reaches a certain age that's transition planning. What that is referring to is actually thinking ahead past high school and how are we going to start making some steps to make your child successful beyond high school. And that is a section on the IEP. And that is one form of transition planning. But what I'm referring to here is something that's not explicitly written into an IEP, but it's nonetheless an important topic, and it can be addressed by the IEP team. So that's where we're talking about maybe your student really struggles with change in routine or people or locations, and they are going to be more successful in making progress in school, which is the whole point of an IEP, if you come up with an explicitly written transition plan. And that's just year to year, how am I going to help set my child up for success, whether it's just grade to grade or building to building. So you might be in your same school district, but maybe now it's time to go to high school. And there's going to be a lot of things to think about, maybe that exists at the high school that didn't at the junior high. And if we work together as a team, we're going to make sure our kiddo is successful. So some transition plans, there's no specific state form for one. Some are really informal. I usually recommend making it a little more formal because we can have the best of intentions at times and great conversations with our teachers, and end of school year or beginning of school year, summer break, things fall through the crack that no one intended to. And so when we put it in writing, it's just much more likely that it'll happen. And so I like to, let's say your IEP cycle starts in September. You might not be ready to talk about transitioning already for the next school year. So you might say, hey, in March, can we reconvene a team meeting and let's talk about what went really well this year and what was successful and how can we use those to help them be ready when it's time for school to start again in the fall. I hope, does that make sense? Let me explain that. And are there any other questions in the chat?
Laura says, yes, it does make sense. Thank you. And no, a comment, Cindy just said, in the spirit of thinking ahead, it might be helpful to talk about the value and how to build a strong IEP team, right? So that's another piece is, making sure that you have all the right players at the table as well.
Yeah, and we'll let's talk about that. I do have a section where we talk about like collaboration and building a great like culture of collaboration with your team. And then if I miss anything in there or you have questions, let's talk about it then. So okay. So that was suggestion number 1 was start early. Next, reestablish routines at home well in advance of back to school. So thinking about things that you can do from a home perspective, not just at school, to help your kid be successful. Gradually reintroduce school day routines like bedtimes and when they're waking up, and incorporate activities that mirror the school day. whether that's just a basic routine, or you could do things like adding in academic activities. I read to my child, and it can be something simple, 5 or 10 minutes a day, just to have that mindset of, hey, we're going to head back to school. Or maybe you have little 5-minute math facts worksheets that your child can work on. Some schools will send home their Chromebooks or whatever device that your child uses at school. Some will send them home over the summer. And so those could be things you could ask to make sure, can you please ensure my child has access still to the online programming that they use during the school year, because they can do short little activities. It's exactly what they're doing at school, kind of keeps them sharp, keeps them in that routine. If they don't have that, or you didn't get the Chromebook sent home, sometimes teachers can do printouts, or you can even just pull out, you know, when they're cleaning out desks at the end of the school year, they're sending everything home. It includes workbooks and all that kind of stuff. A lot of those workbooks, they didn't do every single page. And so you can look and see, have your child work through one of the blank pages, and it's a familiar style and format, and just kind of keeps them fresh and thinking back to school. And then next suggestion, visual schedules. So create a visual schedule using pictures to represent the school day. Be as specific as needed. Sometimes if your child is now going to be entering a phase where they have multiple bells, you can detail out the bell schedule. You're going to arrive at school and you go to your locker, then you have bell 1 and it's with this teacher. They might even be able to tell you what the room number is. So schools obviously offer to all general education students schedule pickup day, and maybe they can come see the buildings. But sometimes kiddos can be overwhelmed by that, such a large group. And so you can ask your administrators or teachers for an opportunity to come during the building sometime when it's open, to come tour the building without the crowds. They often can even tell you your schedule maybe a week or two before. Often schedule day is like a day or two before school starts, but they might know your child's schedule a week or so in advance, and they can provide that to you along with who the teachers are, like I said, possibly even the classrooms. And you can use this to just help prep. I kind of end up turning it into an entire social story, which we can talk about when we get to social stories. But at least for some of our kiddos, I think the more details you can prep them with ahead of time, the more it eases the anxiety of something new. And then a countdown calendar. It's great. A visual countdown can help them track the days until school starts. I do have, which I can share these as links, or I'm also happy to just share this entire presentation if people rather. I did embed some like resource links directly into it. So however we want to do it, I'm happy to. But you can get really fancy, or you can be really basic. I'm really basic. And I just print a blank monthly calendar, and kids can then cross it off. You can add in any pertinent information. I have a sample of my son's right here. We use this for the entire summer. And so I can fill in, hey, these are the weeks you're going to camp. Maybe we're going to a therapy session. Maybe you're going on vacation, because summer just naturally has more or less structure, really. And so having that calendar he can look at, and he likes to mark off the days. And like I said, you can get fancy and type it in and all that, or you can just handwrite it. But either way, having a countdown, or if your kid doesn't need it all summer, maybe just for August, and do a countdown to school and have school starts, and just seeing that repetition, that reminder can be helpful. So, and I'd love to see if other people do this, what they use, because I just kind of made one up. Okay, next helpful tip would be to get familiar with the school environment, especially, like I've mentioned, if it's a new building, which I think most districts, usually you're going to transition. You probably have at least 4 buildings, and if they're at preschool, maybe 5 in their over their lifetime. And so transition, however difficult it can be for our kiddos, will happen. And so get familiar with the school environment. That can look like school visits. Like I mentioned, schedule visits to the school. You can include the classroom, the cafeteria, the gym, any other place that your student will be going often. You can walk your schedule together if they'll be changing classrooms. So you might show up. Oftentimes, I think I mentioned this later, teachers, while they're off for the summer, administrators tend to work the entire summer. And there's different timelines based on their contracts that teachers start showing back up. So while they might be busy unpacking their rooms or something like that, there typically is a time. Let's say, for example, you didn't do a transition plan, but now you're thinking, that's a great idea. How do I get my kid into a school visit? If you know who the director of your special education is at your district office, if you don't know, it'll be on their website. You can email them. Most likely they're working all summer. And they can let you know when the teachers will be back in the building. Often intervention specialists tend to be the ones that can make themselves available for that. Sometimes it's the vice principal, maybe it's someone who's over special education in the building. But either way, the building is usually open and they can come up with a time, maybe just a week or so before school starts, where you can go make the tour. Meet the teacher is also something that can happen. I like to suggest they can't always guarantee that the teacher is going to be there and ready for a full conference, or to sit with your kiddo for a couple hours. They're usually unpacking their room and coming and going and have several meetings that they need to get to as well. So we want to be respectful of their schedule, but usually they're around. And if they're classroom, a quick hello, this is my child, and showing them the room is a great way to start with a new teacher, showing them, one, that you're interested in being present and around and you're available, but you're also going to be respectful of their time and their needs. But just a quick hello and doing what your kiddo needs to feel comfortable on that first day. That the first day of school is not the first time seeing the class. And you can make this a part of a transition plan, by the way. They might not be able to tell you who the teacher is or what day it'll happen. So often on a plan, what it could look like is meet the teacher, take a tour. It will happen when? Just before the first day, might be all they can say in this moment. But then you know that someone will be emailing you that first week of August to actually schedule the day and time, but you know it's going to happen and that it's on everybody's calendar to make sure it gets scheduled, if that makes sense. And then take pictures. Sometimes you can just ask the teacher to send you pictures of areas in the school that your child will be going, or if you're making a visit, you can take pictures. I like to then, as much as I can use, you can use stock photos off the internet, and that can work too. But as much as I can have real live photos, I think it's just all the more beneficial for your student and seeing where they'll be going. I've even had teachers take videos. It was a school that had undergone a bunch of renovations, so everything looked very different. So it wasn't even a building change, but the building looked a lot different. And so the teacher just took a few minutes. She was there anyway doing meetings and things like that. She walked the building, showing the cafeteria. Some buildings all of a sudden have like really awesome sensory rooms, which might get your kid excited about going to school. Show them those things and sending the videos, and then the student could watch the videos and kind of get oriented that way. So,
And Jen, there's a question in the chat. What do you suggest if this is the child's first year without a sibling in the same school or school building?
Well, I'm assuming that means that sibling was probably a good support person to that. So is it, okay, so my thought is it's not the student's first year in that building, just the first year in that building without their sibling? Does that sound like I'm
Nahamani, yeah, there you go. She's coming off mute.
So I'm thinking about, this upcoming school year where a lot of students are going to be changing buildings, at different points than they normally would. And maybe, for all of their academic career, they've always had either an older or younger sibling in the building that was a good support, or at least a go-to person that could help them navigate difficult situations. But if this is going to be their first year flying solo, what are some things that could be suggesting to parents?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great, at least a conversation, whether that student has an educational assistant with them or maybe they don't, then maybe that's a conversation with the intervention specialist of, which I talk about a little bit later, something that I recommend is like an about me page that you can share with your teacher, and even parents can do that with some, just highlight some pertinent information. And so just sharing that little bit can be helpful to say, you know, Bobby usually benefited from his brother, and brother's not in the building. And so he might need additional reminders or supports, or a lunch buddy, or something like that to kind of help ease that transition. Also, identifying, I mean, this is kind of separate from an advocacy standpoint, but just as a parent, I might consider some of those parent group boards, whether your district has, some even have just special education parent Facebook groups or something like that, or just general education PTO groups. Reach out on there. That's a much more informal way to say, hey, my kiddo's looking for a buddy, that maybe someone to sit with at lunch or someone to play with at recess. I would love a summer get together. That's really not something we're asking of the school at all, but just another way to think ahead as a parent. How can I help set my kiddo up for success, especially maybe if they struggle in social situations, working on finding them someone that they feel comfortable with to kind of fill that void would be helpful. And then giving the team a heads up. Like, look, this is their first year. They really rely heavily on this person. Keeping an eye out would be really beneficial. I think as much as without overwhelming the school team with every bit of information. As parents, we know everything about our kids. But finding the really pertinent, highlighted points when we can share that with the team, that will go a long way. I think they want to help and they can't help what they don't know. But we also don't want to flood them with more information. Back to school time is really busy, and we don't want to give them, a 5-page essay on our child because they probably won't be able to read it. But if we can give them some highlighted, bulleted points, I think they would appreciate the communication. Okay, so next, something to think about is practicing transportation. You may want to do practice runs of how your child will get to school. Maybe you can go with them to identify where their bus pickup or drop off location is. And some questions we might want to ask the team, whether it's there is a portion on your IEP that is to discuss transportation. Sometimes it goes quickly and you think of your questions later. But if you're going through your IEP, these are good times to think through how long is the bus ride going to be, especially if it's a new building. It could really change. What was a 10-minute drive to elementary school could be a 20-minute to the intermediate school. And so something to be thinking about, and therefore then preparing your child, or making sure they have what's necessary. Will my child need to transfer buses? I've seen students where all of a sudden they change buildings, and the kiddos at the intermediate school and the junior high all ride together, because we all know bus shortages and expenditures. Maybe they're sharing buses and they get to one school and they drop off those kiddos and then they go on to the next location. Is that appropriate for your student? These are things to think about. Some even have to get off a bus and get on another one. I'm not saying that's all districts, but it is something to ask about, especially when you're changing buildings. You're used to it a certain way, it can change. And asking those questions ahead of time can help you avoid things that maybe won't work. Maybe it just means you need a different support. Maybe now all of a sudden you need to be on a bus where there's also an aide to make sure that your student is transitioning like they should. Or maybe it means that you need private transportation. Whatever it is, make sure that you're asking those questions. And then also part of the IEP process, but it should be in there. You're addressing, does my child need a specialty harness or seatbelt or all those kinds of things, but stuff to be thinking about when you're thinking transition. Next, utilize visual supports and social stories. Social story is like one of my best friends. I write them for everything. It may not, I accept that it doesn't benefit all kids, but I mean, I kind of like a social story. I like to know what to expect and think through what's going to be happening. And so I do them from whether my child, when he got his braces, to when we go on vacations, going to summer camps, and back to school is another great time to think about social stories. So use those pictures that you took of the school. Sometimes teachers are happy to send pictures of themselves. And then you can write very simple. I learned them originally from an intervention specialist in preschool. I put in a couple templates there. There's some tips for writing your own, which I personally like because you can make them as individualized to your student, what you know are their triggers and needs. But there's also some really basic ones out there. And all kinds of tips like make it first person, keep them short sentences. But there are a million versions. I'm also happy to share some of my own. I write my own and I adjust them for age. You know, when they're younger, you're going to probably write it more simply. When they're older, it could be as detailed as I said, like their bell schedule and what to expect from beginning to end. I like to include things, for example, on my vacation trip about the airport and what it'll be like at the airport. My kiddo loves conveyor belts. So I might have a sentence like, it is not safe to jump the counter and get on the conveyor belt. We don't know where those suitcases are going. So you learn as you go and you modify, but use whatever is appropriate for your kiddo. Okay, addressing sensory needs. Share what works with your school team. So there could be a million things that apply, and it could be like fidgets. I would say I borrowed my son's fidget, so it could be this. I love it because I can wear it on my wrist, and it's become my own. So now I have my own little fidget. But I mean, it could be as simple as that. It could be that my child benefits from needing breaks and maybe identifying early where's going to be an appropriate place in this building, in this new school. Where can my child take quiet breaks? Let's talk about that ahead of time because we know that they need them. And so, is there a certain classroom or space that is where that will be readily available during the day for them to do that? Maybe they need body regulation routines. It could be simple. Like my child needs to step out of the classroom when overwhelmed and do a few hand squeezes or body hugs or wall pushes, and very simple. Or it could be built into the routine of their day. Maybe language arts is exceptionally difficult for them to sit through that classroom and requires a lot. And so by the time they're done, before they move on to their next class, they go right into maybe the OT's sensory gym and they have a routine in place. OTs are great resources if your child needs recommendations about body regulation and dysregulation and how to get out that energy. I've seen a kiddo, he got so proficient at his routine that he did not even need prompting anymore. He knew he went straight from this classroom, and on his way to the next one, he stopped into the classroom, and it was almost like a mini obstacle course of body regulation. And as soon as he was done, it took 2-3 minutes, and he was on to his next day or his next class. But without that, he was really struggling, like needing to move. because sitting still that long during one of those classes was just a challenge. So think through, you can put those, I recommend that you document them on your child's IEP. You can put them in section 7 under strategies that work or in accommodations. But just make sure that as a team, you're talking through those things. And if you think of them during the middle of the school year, or you find maybe all of a sudden a new struggle's coming along and it wasn't in there before, but maybe the teacher says, hey, they're really needing this a lot. Great. Thank you so much for that information. And you can very easily modify your IEP without having to even reconvene a whole team if it's for something small. If you all agree, hey, I just need this little piece added into my IEP, a lot of times, even just through emails, you can agree. But I like to keep track of things in writing because you want to know that, heaven forbid, a staff member changes, someone who was on your IEP team is no longer someone new is coming in to fill those shoes. You want that new person to know all the same things that the last person was doing. And so if they've found something successful, let's make sure that we have that down so that someone brand new picking up your student's IEP gets a great picture of what your child's day was looking like and what things you were using to help them navigate their day. And then communication and collaboration, which hopefully I've kind of weaved some of that throughout. I think the biggest thing is being open and available with a reasonable approach that we understand that they're here to help our students, but they don't know what they don't know. And so we're always available to discuss what's going on with our kids and what are some maybe unique or individualized ways we can approach addressing them. So some basic, like really just practical tips that I find is helpful to talk about with your team before the school year starts. So before frustration sets in and you're saying, I have not heard from my teacher all year and it's now November and I don't know what's going on, is to come up with a system that you agree upon that works for everybody, with the teacher and with you, and how you're going to communicate. And this is separate. I am referring to something separate from progress monitoring. So IEPs on your goals, schools are required to send you progress reports on a quarterly basis to let you know, is your child on track for meeting each of the goals that you've created? This is more just an informal way to communicate more regularly, maybe not specifically on goal progress, but on all the rest of the stuff that we often as special education parents need to discuss, especially if your child has a communication disorder and can't come home and readily tell you everything about their day. So some things that I've seen people use, I mean, it could be as basic as email. Teachers are like, I send out emails at the end of every day and I can give you a summary. It's good as a team to identify what that summary should include, which will be unique to your child. Some school teams like to have a binder with just old pen and paper, and they mark down what happened in each, major section of the day. Or something I've seen more and more, which I really like, is a shared Google Sheet. Because then you're seeing in real time what's happening with your child. And if they're seeing multiple providers or multiple teachers, and they're with lots of different folks throughout their day, everyone can access the same thing and add their notes about what happened in their portion of the day. It's not the responsibility of one person to try and track down what happened with different people. Everyone can access it and quickly add their notes, including the parent. So, and then as far as what kind of things should be in these communication, it could be, you might need to know, maybe your child struggles with eating their food. Did my kid eat their lunch? It could be academic related. They completed this math sheet, but this is what the homework is, and this is the expectation that they're going to complete this. Maybe your child can't tell you that. Maybe it's that there was, a toileting accident, or hey, we need you to send in more snacks, because maybe you send in specific ones for your child for whatever reason. So it's very customizable. So my biggest recommendation is that you just have that conversation. You agree upon one method that works for everyone, and it tends to create a much better relationship from the start, rather than coming on the defense and saying, why haven't I heard from you all year? When we have the conversation ahead of time, it tends to eliminate those tensions that can happen. Another thing that I mentioned earlier is something called an all about me student letter. It can even go on your transition plan. Your agreed upon communication can go on your transition plan. You talk about it ahead of time, you identify what's going to work for everybody, and now we've all agreed. An all about me student letter can be the same. At whatever level your student is capable, they might want to share some things about themselves with their new teachers. It really gives them buy-in and a sense of ownership, and that they are a valued member of the IEP team as well, and they might have some things that they want their teachers to know about them. Whether it's, I get anxious when this happens, or hey, I like to participate in class, or whatever it may be, it's their opportunity to share about them. Sometimes you can either email those to the teachers prior to the school year starting. You can take it on your visits, just print them out and take them on the visits. If the teachers aren't there, they can put them in their mailboxes. Just a great opportunity for your kid to get involved. Sometimes parents even will give a little bit. I think I talked about, you can get your name, your email, your phone number. A great way to say, hey, I'm open to discussing anything you need to about my child, without putting them on the spot of, hey, would you like to share your cell phone number with me? Teachers might feel funny about that, but if you share yours, if they're comfortable, they might share theirs. Or they might come up with, like what I've talked about here, communication apps like Remind or GroupMe. I understand some people might not want to share their personal phone number. So I've seen some teachers use apps instead. It can be a great way to reach out for emergencies. And when we are respectful of the guidelines that the teachers share, that please use Remind only in emergencies, that we're really choosing to only use it in emergencies. If you've got other communication logs and things like that, we won't feel such a need to reach out so often anyway. But yeah, Remind or GroupMe are really great ways to say, hey, last minute emergency, but my child had an accident on the way to school. They're going to be late. That we're really just using them for those emergency situations. Okay, so because this is a question a lot of people ask about, I just thought I would just kind of touch on it. And then if people have more questions, feel free to ask, but just kind of, what is extended school year services, or ESY? There's a lot of confusion. Some people even think it's summer school, and it's not actually. It's something very different than summer school. And it usually does occur during the summer, although it doesn't have to. It's often because of potential regression of skills and things like that. So it often does happen during summer, but it doesn't have to. And it is something you review as an IEP team. It is in a section of your IEP. Again, if you have your IEP annual review in September, you might say, we have no idea if my child will need extended school year services yet. And you might reconvene later in the year to determine, looking at the data, how they were progressing, if they do qualify. But it doesn't have to happen during the summer, just because it often does. It needs to be what's appropriate for your child. And it can be provided in a variety of ways. Some kiddos will go for several weeks, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe for a couple hours, and that's appropriate for them. But maybe the reason why your child qualifies means they need to go for 1 week right before school starts, because they specifically have demonstrated a struggle in transitioning. And so easing them back into the building over something with less demands than the first day of school could be appropriate. So just keep that in mind. It also has to be provided at no cost, and it is an IEP team decision. and it gets reevaluated every year. So you may not qualify one year, your student may qualify the next year. And I did put a little tag in there from the Disability Rights Ohio, and they talk more about extended school year. Also keep in mind, ESY, it is often not the same bus route or the same school team that you have during the school year. Some people automatically think, oh, well, was my son's teacher, so that's who they'll have during ESY. And that's not necessarily true. And so asking those questions, who, what, and when, who is going to be teaching them, what are we doing these services for, what specifically is going to be addressed, and when is it going to happen. Bus services, the school does still offer bus services for ESY, but it might look very different than what it does in the school year. And so when you're having these conversations, make sure you're asking those questions to make sure it's appropriate for your student. And then here are just some of the key factors that get considered for ESY eligibility. Regression and recoupment of learned skills. So either your child has demonstrated that they lose so many of their skills after being away from the day-to-day academics that they need the extended school year services, or that it takes them an excessive amount of time when they return to recoup those skills. And that's often what gets tagged for ESY. And it is true that is a reason, but there are other reasons that a student should qualify for ESY as well. The nature and severity of their disability alone might mean that they need ESY to continue to make progress. The whole point of it is to make sure that your student is getting the free, appropriate public education that they're entitled to as an IEP student. And so if they're not making meaningful progress, that means they're not getting that free, appropriate public education. And so they need extended school year services to make sure they are. So that's number two. And then finally, the progress on their goals or lack thereof. Your child is not making meaningful progress. They've been working on it all year. They're definitely not on track to meet that goal by the end of the IEP cycle. And so they might need that additional time to make up and make progress. And then I just threw in some general advocacy tips that I often share with my clients. Get your plan in writing, which I think I said. If it's not in writing, it didn't happen, is what I say often. So even if you had a wonderful phone call conversation with someone and they shared, this is what we're going to do. Great. We don't have to send a scathing email and say, you said this, but what you can do instead is send a follow-up email saying, thank you so much for your time on our call today. My understanding is that this is what we're going to do by next Friday, or whatever the discussion was. And now you've captured that in writing, and we ensure that everyone's on the same page. Next, team meetings don't just happen annually. I think we talked about that. You can reconvene your IEP team at any time should any changes or concerns come up. And then ask a lot of questions. Meaningful parent participation is your right, and you don't know unless you ask. And asking questions is often perceived as much less confrontational as well, especially when there's a stressful situation. If we approach it instead of saying, you were supposed to do this, or why aren't you doing your job, we immediately kind of raise the tension in the room. So if we approach things with questions, help me understand why my child is not making progress. What can we do differently? Have we tried? Could we consider? Those are all ways to phrase things in questions that eases what can sometimes be a difficult conversation. And always ask if there's something you think would benefit your child, but you're afraid for some reason they're going to say no. You don't know unless you ask. And if it's appropriate for your child and they say no, I would be expecting a cogent, thought out reason as to why the answer is no. So it's also fair to ask, why not? If it seems to, especially if you have data to prove a history to prove that your child would benefit from it, then a detailed explanation of why not is fair to ask for. So the last page is just some quick resources of some organizations that like to share advocacy tips and resources. I just threw a few out there that I know of. So COPA is the one that I talked about before, where I did my advocacy training, but they also, it is a membership. So I believe there is somewhat of a cost involved, although there may be scholarships as well. It's pretty affordable for parents. It goes up for advocates and attorneys. But I think it's something around $50 a year. And you get access to community boards where you can ask questions of attorneys and advocates essentially for free about your personal situations. They also have training modules and recordings of conferences and all kinds of information. You can also just check out their website without being a member and just get access to information that could be helpful. But you can check them out. There's also Disability Rights Ohio that's specific to our state. There's the ARC of Ohio that's a lot about policy and advocacy at that level. And then there's Rights Law, who they've been around a really long time. They write books, they have a website, they do training as well. And actually I pull this out all the time. It's always on my shelf. This is their book written by Pete Wright, From Emotions to Advocacy. And I think this is a great resource, even just for parents. You don't have to be looking to become a special education advocate to read it. It's really easy reading. You don't have to, and it's not a book you read front to back. It has chapters. They've got sample letters to help you write if you're like, oh geez, I need to ask my school for this. They've got sample letters and you can just plug in your information. So if letter writing doesn't come easy for you, they're in there. I believe you can also get them from their website. You don't have to have the book to have it. It also helps you think through how to remove, like it says, your emotions from the letter and have it be really successful and effective. And then the last one is check out your school district if you have parent mentors. I think we had a few presenting at the very last Advocacy in Action call. And they're a wealth of knowledge, from giving you like community resources, summer camps, as well as helping you navigate the IEP process in your district. Not all districts have them, but many do. So you can check out your district's website and see if they have a parent mentor available, and they can be a really great support too. So that is all I had on my slide deck. But
That was wonderful. That was great information. Very, very helpful. And
good.
great way. It was great how you organized it as well. We have
Oh,
a comment in the chat from Laura. And Laura earlier had asked a question and shared that she's new to this process. And Laura, just so you know, so the question's around angel sense. And if you're not familiar with what you know what angel sense is. So the preschool coordinator is supposed to find out from the school board if it's okay if my son wears angel sense. Said it may go against confidentiality since angel sense has a listen in function. Is there a way to write in IEP that you won't use that function unless necessary?
You certainly can write that in there. And yes, I am familiar with Angel Sense. I've used it myself for my own kiddo. So summer camp, I was worried, Angel Sense. So I loved it. Yeah, that's absolutely something. If your school is saying, well, there's confidentiality, I would just ensure if that's a feature you can shut off through Angel Sense, then yeah, tell them that you're willing to put that in writing, but that this is appropriate due to whether it's your child's elopement behavior or whatever, and that you're happy to use it in this mode. Yeah, you can put that directly in the IEP. Was that the question?
Yes.
Or was it
Or
a technical question of can you shut that feature off? Because I'm not sure, but I would think Angel Sense would would build that
Yeah,
in.
I believe that you can have it shut off. You have to actually go through the company and like schedule the time, I believe.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that they might have updated it. There are other companies as well that you can use for GPS, right? There's other resources out there. Actually, just went to a tech fair. Lots of new technology coming out there. One that I thought was pretty interesting were GPS soles for the shoes, so that you can
Yeah.
actually insert into the shoes. So there's lots of different
Yeah.
things out there.
And I would hope some
Cindy,
other
go ahead.
places would catch up to Angel Sense. One thing that and this could be, um, Laura, why you liked it was they were real time, right? At the time that Angel Sense came along, other GPS units, you had to know your child was missing and then go to the website and try and find them, losing time. Angel Sense in real time, you can even create geo fences around your school building. You would know, you get a text message the second your child left that area. So you might even
Nice.
know before staff that your child was missing. So that could be, but technology's come a long way since then. And so I would hope that lots of other of those GPS units would have that at this point too. But
Thank you. There's another comment from Cindy. Our agency in Southwest Ohio has received a few calls from some parents who shared that their home school districts and school boards are planning to budget and or allocate significant state funding for the 25-26 school year to send special education students out of the district to private or specialized schools. Not sure of the specific details. Is this something that you are hearing in the advocacy space?
that's so interesting that you bring that up. So I've personally had a stake in some of those kinds of things, not specific to that that's their goal. I haven't heard that. Um, but we do know the requirements of that, which is you cannot. I mean, that sounds like predetermination to me, which would be really highly concerning. That they're just deciding we're going to give a lot of money to send kids somewhere else. There's a process involved before you are choosing to alternately place a student somewhere other than their school district. I mean, that like a lot of different things come to mind. I think about the LRE, the least restrictive environment, which is the general education classroom, and so that alone, your student should be educated as much as possible within the least restrictive environment. So to alternately place them all together in a different building outside of your school district is so far down the continuum of the least restrictive environment that it should not be the primary go-to first step at all. It should be like step 20. And that's when all other avenues have been exhausted to educate that student alongside their peers in the school building that they are districted to attend. So I would have a lot of questions if that was explicitly stated by any school district that that was their purpose, because that would be I would question the lawfulness of that plan, if that makes sense. I hope I'm answering that well. And
Absolutely. I
Amanda,
actually,
you have any thoughts
well,
on that?
I was going to say, I just went to a board meeting recently for Cincinnati Public Schools, and it almost sounds like they're in the opposite corner where they're pulling everybody back. And they actually, I think
Even
we're
when
going to have the same
appropriate.
exact, well, because, well, that's the thing. So their budget is, they're they're really cutting a lot out of their budget, and they're waiting for the state to make a decision on their budget, which is impacting, the
Mm,
district budget, and the state's waiting for the federal,
yeah.
budget. It's kind
And
of a mess right now,
that's
but
a conversation I've been hearing a lot of. Yes,
yeah. So
is
there's a
but
lot of schools that are very anxious right now, but what I was picking up was I think we need to be careful that kids are not being removed from placement without an appropriate process, right? The opposite,
yeah,
where you're bumping back into,
but
their neighborhood
yeah.
school, but you should be doing that with a transition plan, to your point, right? Like you should
Right.
have a
Yeah, that's
very,
right. Yeah.
very intentional plan.
Yeah, because the opposite would not be good either, which is when it has been determined appropriate for this student that this is how the child will make progress, which is the ultimate obligation is to make meaningful progress um, through their education. If that needs to be taking place elsewhere, because they've made every attempt to do it and they're unable to do it, then it does need to happen elsewhere. So we don't want that taken away either, but it very much should be an individualized conversation.
I think this is a good place to insert regarding budgets that logistics and budgets cannot impact the services that your student gets on an IEP at all.
Right.
It cannot. It is based on need, and that is dictated from the federal level, and that is it. So someone can't say we're not offering ESY this summer because our district had to, really pull back on its budget. That is not legal. You cannot do that. So whatever
Right.
your kid needs, you should be able to advocate for it.
Right. Funding should not enter your IEP conversation.
Ever. Nope. Laura has asked this as well. Is there a general template that each state or county does for an IEP? I know in Ohio they do have a template. They're actually in the process of updating that template, and they haven't determined how it's going to roll out yet.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on the state that you're in. But in Ohio, there is a template. In Kentucky, there is also a template, but the Kentucky template looks very, very different from the Ohio template. So like Jenny was referencing sections of the IEP, and the sections in the Kentucky IEP are very different than the sections in the Ohio IEP.
Good point. Yeah. Yes. Now the overall, because there is no federal template, right? There's federal requirements of what needs to be in there, and then states kind of develop their own template. But I've even seen in Ohio, from school district to school district, some slight differences in how they format them. They might have the same sections, but still kind of formatted differently. So definitely state to state, they can look different. But they have to, at minimum, include the federal requirements. Now, states can then choose to add to those requirements, but they cannot take away.
No, they are not really able to do that. Someone's asking for the templates. You can go to the Department of Education of the state that you live in and look for special education templates. I put the Ohio ones in
Cool.
the chat, and I'm looking for the Kentucky ones as we speak. Yes, parents are concerned. Cindy says, wondering where the oversight will come from without the Department of Education / Civil Rights team, which appears to be gone.
Well, they're not gone yet. So that's what I will continue to refer to and rely on for sure. But yes, of course, that's a concern, right? Everyone has got their eye on that. But yes, and I understand parents' concerns. I'm a parent as well, so I share those, and I'm watching forums all the time, but we'll see, right? But I really encourage parents as much as possible to get involved when they are able on their own school boards. Attend some of the meetings and see how they run. Attend some of the meetings and start to get a feel for who's an ally to special education on the board and who's not. Consider speaking at your school board. I've been doing that lately, which I don't advocate for my own school district, just so that I can just be a parent in my child's school district. I'm not also advocating separately. I keep those very separate. So yeah, I've started doing that and asking questions because, if not now, when? I think it's a good time. So.
And this space right here is going to be a safe space for those conversations and those questions. So even though we're wrapped up typically within an hour, we will always have time afterwards if people have specific questions or concerns, things that are more personal to them that they want to ask. So with anything that is related to special education right now, it is a federal law, and that law is not changing. And that means that your rights are staying the same. All right. Same thing with the state laws right now. They haven't made any significant changes to special education laws at the state level. I don't think they'll update them on an annual basis in Ohio, at least. But your rights are your rights. So when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter about a budget. It doesn't matter about the political atmosphere. Your rights are your rights. And there are resources out there. We also have a Padlet. So we're going to put this PowerPoint on the Padlet so that people can access that. And there are all the resources from our past meetings that you'll be able to access, links. I'll add these links to the special education documents. I think that's great to have those in there. And yes, Cindy said that a lot of school board meetings are recorded and or they have video available. So if you're not able to attend live, you can access it. And a lot of times there'll also be links to agendas and different documents that they review during those meetings. So it can be a really helpful if you're interested in that. Does anybody else have questions for Jenny? Jennifer Godby, thank you so much. It has been fantastic to have you on. And Jenny also joins these meetings on a pretty regular basis too. So I think it's great to have multiple advocates available to provide guidance and information and input and for people just to get familiar with the resources are. So this is a free event. It will continue to be available. We are skipping July, but we're going to be gathering all the information from the surveys and the polls that we've been taking to plan out our school year. So our next event is going to be August 28th at 2025 at 9 a.m. August 28th. And we actually have the monthly and we've been rotating the times. So sometimes they're at 9, sometimes at 11:30, sometimes at 5, really just to provide different opportunities for people to access. But we will always record and share the event. And then you'll also have access to the Padlet and the YouTube channel. Sadie will be sending an email out to anyone who provided their email afterwards so that you have links to that information.